Gang stalking is a form of psychological harassment where individuals are targeted and subjected to a campaign of intimidation and fear. The perpetrators exploit the victim's fear of losing control and safety to manipulate and control them. This fear is not just a fleeting thought but a profound and often paralyzing anxiety that can grip us at any moment. This fear, while unsettling, is a fundamental part of the human experience. It is a reminder of our vulnerability, a constant whisper that our sense of security can be shattered. This awareness can lead to a deeper appreciation of stability, pushing us to safeguard our well-being. However, it can also lead to existential dread, causing us to question the reliability of our surroundings. It shapes our thoughts, behaviors, and interactions with the world. The fear of losing control can drive us to achieve great things, to create safe environments, or to seek comfort in relationships and communities. It can also lead to avoidance behaviors, where we shy away from risks and new experiences in an attempt to protect ourselves from harm. Understanding this fear is crucial to understanding ourselves and how it can be used against us. By acknowledging and confronting our fear of losing control, we can gain insight into our deepest motivations and desires. This self-awareness can empower us to live more authentically and make choices that align with our true values. Terror management theory, or TMT, delves into these existential fears and their impact on our lives. Developed by social psychologists, TMT explores how our awareness of vulnerability influences our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. It suggests that much of human behavior is driven by the need to manage the terror associated with the potential loss of control and safety. It explores how the awareness of our vulnerability influences our values, beliefs, and actions. According to TMT, we cope with these fears by clinging to cultural worldviews and seeking self-esteem. These worldviews provide a sense of order and meaning, helping us to feel part of something larger and more enduring than ourselves. This theory helps us understand why we strive for self-esteem, seek meaning in life, and cling to cultural norms. By adhering to the values and beliefs of our culture, we gain a sense of significance and purpose. This, in turn, helps to buffer the existential anxiety that comes with the knowledge of our vulnerability. This essay aims to explore the darker side of these fears, particularly how they can be exploited in situations like gang stalking. We will examine the psychological tactics employed by perpetrators and the devastating impact on victims. By understanding these tactics, we can better support those affected and develop strategies to counteract the fear and anxiety that gang stalking induces. Ultimately, this exploration aims to shed light on the resilience of the human spirit and the importance of confronting our deepest fears. Terror management theory, developed by social psychologists, posits that the awareness of death creates anxiety, which humans constantly try to manage. We do this by investing in things that make us feel significant and protected. This includes our self-esteem, cultural worldviews, and close relationships. These investments act as buffers against the anxiety of death. They provide a sense of meaning, purpose, and permanence in a world that can often feel chaotic and unpredictable. When our beliefs are challenged, or our sense of self is threatened, our mortality becomes more salient, leading to increased anxiety and defensive reactions. Stalkers exploit these existential fears, such as the fear of losing control or safety, to create a sense of dread and dependence in their victims. Existential fears like the fear of losing control or the fear of losing safety are often exploited by stalkers. These fears tap into our fundamental need for security and predictability. When these needs are manipulated, victims experience profound distress. Gang stalking leverages these existential fears to create a sense of dread and dependence in victims. The relentless surveillance, harassment, and intimidation foster an environment where the victim feels constantly unsafe and powerless. This exploitation of fear is a core tactic used by stalkers to maintain control over their victims. Recognizing how these fears are manipulated is essential for supporting victims and helping them reclaim a sense of control and safety in their lives. Gang stalking, also known as organized stalking, is a serious form of harassment. It involves a group of individuals working together to systematically target and torment a victim. The perpetrators exploit existential fears, such as the fear of losing control or safety, to create a sense of dread and dependence in their victims. These tactics can include surveillance following the victim, monitoring their online activity, appearing in the same places repeatedly, harassment, spreading rumors, making threats, vandalizing property, using mocking gestures, and intimidation, breaking into the victim's home, tampering with their belongings, using bright lights or loud noises to disrupt their life. These actions are designed to make the victim feel constantly watched, unsafe, and vulnerable, playing on their deepest fears of losing control and security. Exploiting existential fears tactics used in gang stalking. Perpetrators of gang stalking use a combination of psychological tactics that leverage the victim's existential fears, such as the fear of losing control or safety. These tactics are meticulously designed to exploit the deepest anxieties of the victim, making them feel as though they are constantly under threat. The goal is to destabilize the victim's mental state, making them more vulnerable to further manipulation and control. Creating a sense of uncertainty. By using subtle tactics and constantly changing their methods, stalkers create an environment of unpredictability. This unpredictability is a key element in their strategy, as it keeps the victim in a perpetual state of confusion and doubt. The victim can never be sure of what will happen next, which heightens their sense of vulnerability and fear. Stalkers may follow the victim at irregular intervals, leave cryptic messages, or make anonymous phone calls. These actions are designed to be unsettling and to make the victim feel as though they are being watched at all times. The constant uncertainty keeps the victim on edge, amplifying their anxiety and fear. The psychological toll of this relentless stress can be devastating, leading to a range of mental health issues such as depression, anxiety disorders, and even post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Undermining support systems. Stalkers may spread rumors or create conflict to isolate the victim from their support network. By turning friends, family, and colleagues against the victim, the stalkers aim to cut off the victim's sources of emotional and practical support. This isolation makes the victim more dependent on the stalkers, who may then offer false support or manipulate the victim further. The victim is left feeling alone and vulnerable, more susceptible to manipulation. This tactic is particularly effective because it exploits the victim's need for social connection and support. This leaves the victim feeling alone and vulnerable, more susceptible to manipulation. The sense of isolation can be overwhelming, leading the victim to question their own worth and sanity. Without a support system, the victim is less likely to seek help or resist the stalker's influence. Gaslighting. Stalkers may deny events, contradict the victim's memories, or plant false evidence to make the victim question their own sanity. This tactic, known as gaslighting, is designed to make the victim doubt their own perceptions and reality. By constantly challenging the victim's memory and perception, the stalkers create a sense of confusion and self-doubt. The victim may begin to question their own sanity, making them more reliant on the stalkers for a sense of reality. This can be incredibly disorienting and isolating, further feeding into the victim's fear and self-doubt. The victim may feel as though they are losing their grip on reality, which can lead to severe emotional and psychological distress, further feeding into the victim's fear and self-doubt. The cumulative effect of these tactics is to break down the victim's sense of self and reality, making them more malleable to the stalker's control. These tactics, combined with the constant threat of harm, create a living nightmare for the victim. The fear of losing control and safety, combined with the psychological manipulation, creates a pervasive sense of dread and terror. Create a living nightmare for the victim, leaving them in a constant state of fear and anxiety. The victim may experience nightmares, insomnia, and other sleep disturbances as a result of the ongoing stress and fear, leaving them in a constant state of fear and anxiety. The relentless nature of these tactics ensures that the victim is never able to fully relax or feel safe, perpetuating a cycle of fear and control. The impact on victims: a life upended. Gang stalkers exploit existential fears to create a sense of dread and dependence in their victims. Victims often experience severe anxiety and fear of losing control. The constant threat and harassment lead to chronic anxiety, panic attacks, and a pervasive sense of insecurity. Hypervigilance and paranoia are also common, as victims feel their safety is compromised. The feeling of being watched and followed can lead to paranoia, making it difficult to relax or trust others. Depression and hopelessness can set in too, as victims feel they have lost control over their lives. The relentless harassment and isolation can lead to depression, feelings of hopelessness, and even suicidal thoughts. The trauma of gang stalking can have long-lasting effects on the victim's mental and emotional well-being, making it crucial to offer support and understanding. Recognizing the manipulation: a path to recovery. One of the most challenging aspects of gang stalking is recognizing how existential fears are exploited. Perpetrators often use psychological tactics that tap into deep-seated fears of losing control or safety, creating a pervasive sense of dread. This manipulation makes it difficult for the victim to identify what is happening, leading to constant anxiety and fear. The tactics used are often subtle and difficult to prove, leading to self-doubt and feelings of isolation. Victims may start to question their own sanity, wondering if they are imagining things or overreacting. This psychological warfare can erode their sense of self and make them feel completely alone in their struggle. Education and awareness are vital for victims to understand that they are not alone and that what they are experiencing is a form of abuse. Learning about the common tactics used in gang stalking can help victims recognize the signs and validate their experiences. This knowledge can empower them to take steps towards recovery and seek the help they need. Victims can benefit from seeking professional help. Therapists who specialize in trauma and stalking can provide a safe space for victims to express their feelings and work through their experiences. They can offer coping strategies and therapeutic techniques to help victims manage their anxiety and rebuild their sense of self. Therapists specializing in trauma and stalking can provide support and coping strategies. They can help victims understand the psychological impact of gang stalking and develop personalized treatment plans to address their specific needs. This professional support is crucial in helping victims regain control over their lives and start the healing process. Connecting with support groups is also helpful. These groups provide a sense of community and understanding, as members share similar experiences and can offer empathy and advice. Being part of a support group can reduce feelings of isolation and provide a network of people who understand what the victim is going through. Sharing experiences with other victims can reduce feelings of isolation and validate their experiences. Hearing others' stories can provide comfort and reassurance that they are not alone in their struggle. It can also offer practical advice and strategies for coping with the effects of gang stalking. Documenting the harassment is another important step. Keeping a detailed record of events, including dates, times, and descriptions of incidents, can be crucial for building a case against the perpetrators. This documentation can also help victims feel more in control and provide a sense of validation for their experiences. Keeping a detailed record of events can be helpful for seeking legal assistance or restraining orders. This evidence can support the victim's claims and increase the chances of legal action being taken against the perpetrators. It can also provide a sense of empowerment as the victim takes proactive steps to protect themselves and seek justice. Recovering from the trauma of gang stalking is a long and difficult journey, but with the right support, victims can begin to heal and reclaim their lives. It requires patience, resilience, and a strong support network, but it is possible to overcome the effects of this abuse and find a path to recovery and peace. Conclusion: facing fear, reclaiming control. Gang stalking is a terrifying reality for many individuals. By understanding how existential fears, such as the fear of losing control or safety, are exploited by stalkers, we can better support victims and empower them to reclaim their lives. Remember, fear thrives in silence. By raising awareness, offering support, and advocating for victims, we can help shine a light on this dark issue and contribute to a safer world for everyone.